Pierluigi Turco, Giovanni Sana i Andrea Rossi su partneri u studiju A-Fact u Milanu. A kod nas su postali poznati jer su dobili prvu nagradu na velikom arhitektonskom internacionalnom konkursu za muzej savremene umjetnosti, prirodnjački muzej i park kulture u Podgorici. Logično, o tome je i bilo najviše riječi u našem razgovoru. Kako su došli na ideju uopšte da rade konkurs u Podgorici, kako su analizirali naš grad i u kojoj fazi je ovaj projekat trenutno. O tome, ali i o par drugih tema sa Pierluigi Turco. Uživajte.
Hello, Pierluigi. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
How are you?
Very good, very good. I think the welcome was very warm from all the country. So I'm really happy to be here. Actually,
Thank you.
I hope to come back soon.
I presume that it's not your first time to be here in Podgorica in Montenegro because you have won one of the largest architectural competitions in the last few years. That is about a Museum of Contemporary Art on River Morača in Podgorica.
Yes.
You were here before?
No, I wasn't actually.
Really?
So yeah. So this was the first time. I've a lot of friends that are connected to this country, and because our country are not so far. I'm from Italy. I'm from Sicily actually myself. So I think we have a lot in common. Climate, the way people live the city, the way people live the spaces is very similar. Also, yesterday we were in this beautiful canteen dining all together, and I think the atmosphere was
quite similar.
Felt like home.
How did you hear about that architectural competition in Podgorica?
I think I mentioned that in the presentation as well, but I think that this competition was really well organized. And for us architects, when we look into opportunity, right, we want to be sure that these opportunities have fit and they are grounded. And just by analyzing the brief, for us was an impressive brief, a very ambitious project, but also a project that was, I think, very well explained and very well documented in the brief. So,
what was your first impressions with the site from that brief?
The first impression I had looking at the site from the top is that the city and actually when I arrived, that impression was confirmed, has a really strong connection with nature around it. The mountains are incredible when you land and you see the river meandering through the mountain. It's incredible. But what was disappointing was to see that the connection between the city and the river was not so strong. And I think this is a missed opportunity because the river is what generates the city. And the river is basically the essence of the city. And so for us, the call for action to do something there was the right thing as a general concept, as a general move. So this was, the scenery, the place, the culture, the ambition of your country was something that really forced us in a way to do this competition. And the way it was organized, the jurors that were involved, the office that were invited to do this competition, which are the best office in the world, were invited to do it. For us, it was an additional input and gave us an additional push to try to say something, because we felt we had something to say about this site and about this project.
What is the most important thing about architectural competitions for you, from your point of view? Is that jury members or something else?
In general, as the realization of project, I think most of the most striking and important building in the world, in my opinion, were, if not always, but often the result of a competition. And one aspect of the competition that I think is really important is to, again, write the brief, because you are asking people to read a paper and understand what you need. And this is not something really straightforward. We have been involved in competition in Italy that we went to the second phase and no prize was awarded. And there you see there is something that doesn't work, because you pass a first phase, you have a first selection, you select 3 teams to join the second phase, and then you don't award anything. So there must be a problem in the input you give. And for us, I mean, our practice is called AFACT, which relies a lot on data. It's really, really important. And I think this is the most important aspect of the competition, is that. But then the other important aspect is that the competition needs to embed the ambition of the society who want to build it. And if there is no ambition, and there is no, ambition for a country to do something so strong, I think the competition will never be realized, which at the end, it doesn't matter if you do a competition if the project doesn't get built, right?
Yes. In what phase right now is that whole competition process? Do you still right now working on your concept design, or developing your concept design?
We have done some change since the competition was submitted and won, because the ministry, who is in charge for the competition, wanted to be sure that what we delivered was really answering to the question and the needs of the community. And so we already submit some drawings. However, the official process of approval, I think, it hasn't started yet. I think there is a little bit of time that usually between the competition assignment and the actual contract that is required to sort out, I think, the way the planning system is working. But I think that for this project, there is a need of taking a special consideration, because this is not just this is just a normal project. It's going to be the identity of the country and of the city, I think. It's a project very ambitious that will attract people to visit this country. And it's not about attract because of the presence of the project, because this country doesn't need much to attract people. You just go around and you see what you have around you. But I think this has to come in a systematic way with a series of action. And I'm seeing Montenegro is launching a lot of competition now.
Yes.
Which is great.
That's part of our architectural policy, but we need to establish the whole connection. We talk about that, a link from concept design to realization, the whole project.
Yeah, I think that the most difficult part now, because it's you have done everything great so far. Not because we have won, but I think because everything was done in a really structured way. And now we start the most difficult part, when the people really need to be wanting this project, and everybody needs to work together in order to have this new building in the country.
You have a lot of experience when we talk about cultural architectural competition. I saw somewhere that you take participation in Helsinki Guggenheim Museum in 2014. Yes. What was different this time in your approach?
Well, first of all, I was much younger, and so I didn't have all the experience that I've had the opportunity to develop later. The competition you mentioned was a flop, I think, because he attracted something like more than 1,000 entry, and then he was awarded a project which wasn't mine, but it was beautiful. The project won, because the architectural project always bring the best out of the architectural world, and then it wasn't built. What's happening now so I think that was a flop. What is changing now in me is that I see I haven't lost the ambition of being able to contribute to this kind of project. So not much has changed, but now I am probably have the experience to be able to select project. And if I had the project like the Guggenheim, I wouldn't select it now. That, for example, but this competition was not open to everybody. Was a competition that had the selection before. Again, a strong architect invited to join, and therefore for us it was an occasion to say our vision.
Recently you have won one more international competition in Bologna, Bertella Lazzaretto.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
You talk a little bit about that prefabrication process in that kind of residential. Mainly residential.
It's only residential. Well, it's residential. It's a social housing project plus student accommodation and elderly accommodation. First of all, this competition I think was a positive example because you could see when the client, the municipality in this case, is really involved in what he's trying to do, want to leave a mark, want to make things better. And for us, was the challenge here was to create something very varied in the appearance, because we wanted to fight this stigma of the social housing as something relentless, boring, and so on. But then some aspects of the social housing are good from the modernist period. So standardization is one of them. So how do we interpret standardization nowadays? It's much related to the sustainability of a project, because through standardization you reduce cost, you reduce time in the construction site, and every day in a construction site emit a lot of carbon. And you also have more control of the design if everything is done well. In my experience, I've worked mainly with the standardized element when it was about the residential project, even if it wasn't, a social housing, but was a, public or a commercial project. Standardization was, I think, not only for economy, but also for sustainability. And in this case, because there is a certain repetition, of course, in a social housing project, it's kind of the right fit, to the. And we had, in our previous experience, we had taken that to the extreme, to the point that everything was prefabricated, but the building was still very, iconic. In the past, I worked in project where even where stairs were prefabricated, where core were even prefabricated, and where pods of a toilet and kitchen were prefabricated and brought to the site, and facade, of course, was pre-assembled, prefabricated and then assembled on site. So
do you think that there is like a future for that?
I think there is a future, but it also has to do with a certain type of building. And I think the future is to try to embed some craftsmanship into a standardized model. If we can think about it, it's almost going back to the beginning of the century, where there was this moment where people were starting to get into the industrialization phase, but there was still a strong component of craftsmen that were working the thing. I think we can get to that point, because the building are losing a little bit this tactile moment, this tactile experience. That was something that really strong in the historical center or in the old city. The variety of color, the variety of space, the adaptive opportunities that the city used to give with different space, different size, shaded area, sunny area, and so on and so on. So we shouldn't fall in the trap of everything, use the standardization as the tool of the key for everything.
Luigi, thank you so much. I hope that you will enjoy your rest of your stay in Podkast.
Yeah, I would love to stay
And,
more actually.